It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
And a fine 2021 to the two of you.
Oh, you made it. So I was told that we made it because I had fireworks on my watch. That is a sign that we made it overnight. What'd you guys do? What'd you watch? What were your New Year's movies?
We watched Tenet. My wife hadn't seen it. It's one of my daughter's favorite films. That and Inception, she says, are her two favorite films.
Oh.
And so we watched Tenet again. And, it was a fun rewatch. I really enjoy the story. It's not as solid as some of other Nolan films, but it's a really interestingly constructed world. And I'm very intrigued by it. It seems like
clearly
one
you
that's
didn't watch
ripe
it
for
backwards.
Sequels. Clearly, I
You
didn't.
would be much more enthusiastic about it.
Right. Is that what it takes?
Yeah, no, of course.
So funny. But no, it's a good one.
We did. All right. What did you do, Steve?
Go ahead.
No, you
Go ahead.
go first.
No, we played the blockbuster movie trivia.
I would like to tell you, for the record, based on your recommendations, so did we.
Nice.
All right.
Yes, we had a blast. And I have to tell you, and I'm going to out my wife here, because this was I think it was the most fun quote for a movie that my wife did not get. And it has become a legendary thing for us. My daughter says to her, because they've never seen, believe it or not, this movie, she said, my daughter looks at my wife and says, that firearm is on the upmost shelf. She says, upper rifle. And so the jokes. Oh my gosh! If only they could have sent Tom Cruise to the naval training facility at Upper Rifle. we just were hoping that Top Gun Part 2 would be Upper Rifle 2. Yeah, it's fantastic. Upper Rifle. What a great game. That was a blast.
It's a very fun game.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
And you were totally right. You don't need to be a movie nerd to play this game and enjoy it.
Exactly.
No. Yeah. It does get frustrating, though, when you know a movie and the person you're trying to give the clues to, they have not seen this movie at all, and you have to either act it out or it's one word, and you're like, how do I get my daughter to say 28 days later when she's not seen it? I'm like, even if I say zombies, that's not going to do it. Fast running zombies, no, I can't act that out. So there's a lot of strategy involved, more than I expected from what seems like a little, toss off game of movie trivia. There's collecting, because we got the expansion, as well, which has six other genres. So we're trying to collect we put everything all together, trying to get all 12 genres. We made it quite.
That's a massive challenge.
Feat, yeah.
I'm just struggling because I was told I was acting out Sully to get Monsters Inc. And I was told, of course we couldn't get it, Dad. You were too scary. All right.
He's a scary monster, except for Boo. But he's pretty scary.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I think you did a good Sully.
Clearly.
Can I call you Sully now?
I'll take it.
See, when you were acting out Sully, I thought you were talking about the Tom Hanks film that you were acting out. I'm like, he's just flying around the room.
That would have been a real win, though, if your family said Sully. or whatever.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you, we watched Superintelligence first. Ben Falcone, Melissa McCarthy.
You didn't see my review of that, then, huh?
I did, and I wanted to believe. It's just, what it was? It wasn't a terrible film. It just didn't look like anybody was having any fun. It was just not like, I feel like Melissa McCarthy has set up a brand, and I kind of have an expectation. If it's a Melissa McCarthy comedy, it's going to have a certain element of fun. Cannavale was great. I really enjoyed seeing him as a kind of a doofusy rom-com love interest. But the rest of the movie, I was so disappointed, which is why I am thrilled to say that Wolfwalkers, if you're into animated films and just great movies, I don't even know how else to characterize it. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience. Wolfwalkers is just, a delightful story about young people and nature and parenting, and the animation is it is super opinionated. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's available.
You
on
haven't
Apple
seen
TV
the other
Plus.
Cartoon Saloon movies?
Not really. No, I haven't seen any of them. But this one
The
is
Secret of Kells and Song of the Sea.
Yes.
Oh, Song of the Sea.
yeah.
I did see.
And The Breadwinner
Okay.
also, which was an Oscar-nominated animated film.
that I
So
did
they've
not
done
see.
some
But
really...
it is. I was just really impressed with the story and how they were able to deliver on it. So it was redemptive for our evening's New Year's Eve movie
Nice.
experience. Check out Wolfwalkers. It's really great. It falls
Okay.
a little bit apart. It
Wolfwalkers,
becomes it's one of those that's you'll get it. And the degree I think to which you get the story early is the degree to which you will kind of fall in love with it. But it's just a meditation of animation. I mean, it's just beautiful. Makes me want to watch all of those movies again. I had totally forgotten.
Yeah, they have quite a run. Their animation style, it's a fantastic return to that 2D animation, and it's just stunning to look at.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
all of their films are just. I mean, it's just a visual feast. Really beautiful stuff.
Truly.
So I can't wait. It's been on our radar since it came out. We just haven't had a moment to do it. So
Well, and
soon.
that Lord Eddard Stark is the father in Wolfwalkers gives me no end of joy.
But does he die?
Why would you see, Andy? I want to tell you.
I know.
Oh.
I just assume he does because that's
He
that's what he
always
does.
It's his thing.
does.
And then if he doesn't, then it'll be a real
That's
surprise.
news. Yeah.
Netflix is doing well, I guess, with their Midnight Sky movie.
Have you guys watched it yet?
Seems-
First of all, can we say that?
Yes.
I have not
I have
seen
not
it yet.
seen it
My
yet
wife and I
either.
watched it as one of our anniversary movies. Actually,
you
no,
were
we watched it.
disappointed,
Sorry,
I
we watched
see.
it with my daughter the day before our anniversary, and it was a fine story. It was just, I guess I'd say, somewhat predictable and it felt very leisurely paced, and it also felt like everyone was just really kind all the time. Not that that's a bad thing, but it was weird.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, everyone was just, I understand. I understand. Like, they were just so accepting of things. And it seemed weird to me. There are certain points where I question some of those decisions because I'm like, it seems, I don't want to spoil it because it's toward the end, but there are some decisions that some characters make. And I'm like, is that going to make all these other parts that have to work? Like, because I don't know. But everyone was like, it's okay. Do your thing. I'm like, okay. But it was okay. It was an okay film.
So there wasn't enough conflict for you because everybody was like, well, okay, yeah, we'll go along with that. That sounds fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's conflict. I mean, there's definitely conflict. It's some of the space stuff when they're dealing with their I mean, it's kind of told in two parts. You've got Clooney on Earth up at the North Pole trying to send a message to space to this last spaceship that's up there, which is on its way back to Earth, thinking that Earth is a safe place still, without knowing that it's basically been destroyed. And so you've got the whole story of the people on the spaceship too. And there's some there's some thrilling scenes of the stuff going on the spaceship, like when they're going through a meteor shower, things like that. So it has its moments.
I didn't know the Earth was destroyed, Andy. Thanks for spoiling that.
That's what I'm here for, Pete.
Thought we made it to 2021. I've heard mixed reviews. I think yours is a fair mixed review. I've heard it's kind of kind of a snooze.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Netflix.
Netflix is bragging about it, of it being like in their like top 10 streaming things, in like hundreds of countries. They're estimating like 72 million families have streamed this, and it seems like that seems to be the shift. Since we don't have box office anymore, that, people, I think Netflix, I don't know when they started doing it, but Netflix has that category of like top 10 in your region. And it seems like that's their way of putting in front of people, to how to filter through the things. It's like, oh, well, look, check out the Queen's Gambit. It's in the top 10, all of those things. And I think that may be the trend. I'll be interested to see if other services start picking up on that to sort of highlight or emphasize something, not just based on interest, but based on sort of the herd mentality of like, hey, everybody else is watching this. You should check out this new series we're putting out, or this new film that you've never heard of before, to try to filter through.
I know they've been doing it at least since Tiger King, because I remember that was always I'm like, I do not want to watch this. Why is it still showing up in this top 10 list that I have now? So
because everybody else wants to watch trash TV. So yes,
exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting metric to track, and unfortunately, it's not an outside service tracking it. And I think that's the difficulty I think that a lot of people have with it. The fact that Netflix is keeping all of this information confidential, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's in the top 10 in my region, but what does that really mean? Like, how many people are actually watching it? And it played in, they said 72 million households watching in the first 4 weeks. I mean, how many people is that? It's tricky. It's going to always be tricky with these metrics until, there's a way to get some sort of like a Nielsen in there that's actually helping track what's going on with all these streaming services. It's a
right. Yeah. And how do they track that? Is it 72 million people started watching it?
Yeah.
Or 72 million people watched it to completion? Because there are plenty of times on Netflix, I'll start watching something, I'll get about 10 minutes in and go, this isn't for me, or I'm not in the mood for this. I'll come back to it sometime else. Does that count? It's one of those metrics that, is hidden. And how do they count that? Because with a ticket, it doesn't matter if you watch the movie or walk out, they've got your dollars because you bought a ticket, for a movie. So they can say, we made this amount of money. But with streaming, they've already got my money. So yeah, they can choose to pick, I guess, it's up to them to decide how they want to count engagement with
It's actually
content.
72 million people per stolen Netflix password. There's only one. We're all using the same one. Don't worry about it. It's your dad's. That would be a great metric. Is actually views per password.
Per account? Yes, that would be interesting.
Jeez.
Why has this person watched this thing like 8 times on the same day?
In 6 different states.
Right.
Yes. See, that maybe it's streams per IP.
That's
address.
exactly right. Streams per IP.
Yes.
SPIP.
All right.
Okay.
I had seen a similar story though, because Queen's Gambit also had it still is in the top 10 on my list, and I had seen that before this story that you posted about Netflix and The Midnight Sky, but I had seen how that was like tracking as this huge thing because it had been in the top 10 for such a since it was released essentially. And so yeah, I guess we'll see what happens with this.
Yeah.
If other streaming services start doing it, because I don't think any of them are.
What is it? So is it different? What is yours right now? Top 10 in the U.S. today. Is it different for each of us? I don't pay attention to this thing at all.
I don't know. That's one of the things. And it says your region. I don't know if they've broken the United States into
top 10
regions.
Where is it? There it is. Let's see. Number 1, Cobra Kai.
Me too.
Number 2.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry. You're looking, Steve.
Oh, no. Well, I don't. Okay. Yeah. Cobra Kai.
Number 2, Bridgerton.
Oh, so sexy.
Yep.
I've never watched
Number 3, the Sabrina, the
Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Number 4, Death to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5,
which is hilarious. You guys need to check that out if you have not watched it.
Okay,
I
at least watch.
I saw the trailer.
At least watch the trailer.
Yeah.
So you saw the trailer. So at the final moment of the trailer, I lost it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and said, no, don't need to watch that.
Because it's on Netflix, and Pete, well, you watch it. I think you'll appreciate the final.
Don't worry, I'll get it, Steve.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Number 5, Robert Rodriguez's new movie, We Can Be Heroes.
Yes.
Number 6, Midnight Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, Liam Neeson's Unknown.
Okay. Yes.
Number 8, is not for you, Pete?
No, it is Unknown for me. I was looking for a set of skills joke. I couldn't have it, so I kind of went to Vapor Lock. Yeah, it was great.
Gotcha. Number 8, 17 again.
Yep.
Number 9, Queen's Gambit.
Yep.
And number 10, Coco Melon.
Yeah.
Why is 17 again like number 8? Isn't that the like Zac Efron body switching thing from like 2000?
With Matthew Perry.
Something? Yeah. Why is that in the top 10? I can't imagine there's that much demand for that movie. It's things like that I think. Cobra Kai makes sense. You know, some things that are new to streaming, people are checking them out. Maybe there's been a big fan base just dying to see 17 again on streaming, and it's been absent from streaming services
that
for
could be
decades. I don't know.
If people like my daughter catch something like that and then end up watching it and then tweeting to her friends or whatever, or not tweeting, but
tweeting.
Snapchatting to her friends.
Also, what you don't know is she has 72 million friends.
That's right.
Okay, so it is. It looks like at least between us here in Portland and Phoenix. At least,
but I mean, but that does say top 10 in the U.S. today.
Yeah.
I don't see anywhere where it says top in your region. So
I don't either.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm very curious how this reads in other countries. You know, I'd love to know what's the top in some of these other places that.
Well, you just have to go on and like spoof an international IP address to find out. So that can be your homework for this weekend, Andy, is to go and
I will.
And find out internationally what the top 10 are in each country.
Every country that has Netflix, I'm going to find the top 10. Just you wait.
That should be a Saturday. That's it. That's got to be a Saturday Matt sequence now. We just build that into the program of weekly update on what's the top 10 in each country that Netflix is in.
And the top 10 in Burkina Faso.
Welcome to Netflix Madagascar.
Hey, we've got an international audience. I think Nick Langdon needs to know what's top in Australia, and we've got our other European listeners out there that may want to know. Or could tell us, perhaps.
That's right.
Maybe they report out in Discord.
Netflix has become, for me, the pretty much just a single focus delivery mechanism for Great British Baking Show. Like, it's all we watch anymore.
Yes.
Oh, Martha.
That's so funny.
Oh, such a loss.
I think we're okay, Pete. I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Are we serious about Lethal Weapon 5? Is that really a thing?
That's what Richard Donner, who is 90, says. He is doing these
90, which should have been in the headline. Richard Donner, who is 90, confirms he will direct Lethal Weapon 5.
I just didn't realize he was 90. His last film was 16 Blocks back in 2006 or something like that.
That was actually pretty decent.
He decided. He's coming back, and they're bringing back Danny Glover and Mel Gibson for the final chapter in the Lethal Weapon franchise, which the last one, Lethal Weapon 4, was like 1990 something, 98 maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, 90. Yeah, probably 98. Yeah.
That was the which the only thing I remember is that's the one with Jet Li. That's all I remember about that one. Yes.
That's pretty much all I remember too. Except
I feel
by
like
that
I
point,
want
the franchise I felt was already past its prime.
I want a script that just changes the article so every mention of Richard Donner adds the comma-separated phrase, who is 90.
Who is 90?
Even the first sentence. Even at 90, Richard Donner, who is 90, is not too old for this.
Is that a plugin that we can build for your browser so that anytime Richard Donner's name is mentioned, that it just puts in?
It's just his age. Just who is 91 is still planning on. Yeah, it's going to be great. I need that.
Yes, we'll see if they bring back Joe Pesci and
it's going to be the Lethal Weapon plugin. Danny Glover, who is too old for this.
All right, our coder listeners out there, get cracking on that plugin. We'll put it in our Chrome browsers. It'll make our lives that much more
created by
entertaining.
Shane Black, who did make that last Predator movie. How can we do this? This is so
What's it going to say for Mel Gibson? That's what I'm curious about.
Mel Gibson, who still says he's not crazy. All right. Oh, I need that so badly. All right, go ahead.
So, what did you think of Shadow in the Clouds?
You guys,
Pete? Would that actually be better if Richard Donner, who is 90,
Richard Donner, who is 90, says Shadow in the Clouds is what he's really targeting for Lethal Weapon 5. I was just disappointed because I'd heard that this movie was coming. I heard nothing about it, and then I watched the trailer. I saw the trailer came up, and I thought, oh, that's totally going to be my trailer pick this week. Right. And then I watched the trailer. This was before I watched the trailer. And I immediately thought, oh, this isn't going to be my trailer pick this week. But we have to talk about it because I don't know. You know how they use from the creators of Atomic Blonde and Deadpool 2, both movies I liked quite a bit. But those two things, it's a high jump, low ceiling kind of experience. And it really, the trailer did not look great. I felt like I just am not sure what they're going for with this thing, and then I thought maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe this is on me, and so I checked IMDb, and it's a 4.4. That's not. Yeah, that's not even
so bad it's good
in the strike zone.
It could be
of the IMDb,
but it could be. It could be so bad it's good.
Yes, it could be depending on what you want. Because I just watched the beginning part of the trailer, and I thought, oh my gosh, this feels like. And I don't know what it is about it, but there have been plenty of movies adapted from young adult novels, but this really feels like young adult novel movie that is like so owning that zone really hardly. Whereas most of them were like, oh, we got to broaden this for like a wider audience. This seems like it's targeted at such a specific audience because there's something in the tone, the style, just everything about this screams like adolescent, early teenage audience. Something where, because it does seem silly, but I'm like, but there are so many concepts that are silly that people buy into, but this one seems to really embrace the silliness of it.
I just feel like these are the hero clips you're shooting for the trailer. Like the script from the trailer sounds obtuse. Like I don't know that I can watch Chloe Grace Moretz say the things that she says in the trailer. If this is the best of what we get from Chloe Grace Moretz, then I'm sorry for that. So it was disappointing.
I want to see like all of the trailers. Like which ones most egregiously use from the producers of or from the creators of the worst. Like, you know, which ends up being the most offensive when they actually include that. I feel like I'd have to go look at a lot of trailers for bad movies to see, oh, wow, okay.
From the producers of.
Right.
It didn't look great. I did finish, though, speaking of YA transitions, Shadow and Bone is a show on, where is it? Amazon, Hulu? It was a Leigh Bardugo series, and I haven't read it or seen it or anything, but I've heard good things from the YA crowd who like her work. I just read Ninth House, Leigh Bardugo, which it's a story of what really quote really happens in those social houses at Yale, like Skull and Bones and Wolf's Head, and that have been around for 150 years and are behind the doors with the robes and the wrought iron, and they have mausoleums on campus at Yale. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this is such ridiculous, gruesome fantasy. And I had a great time with the book. I really did. I mean, it was fun. And then at the end, I'm listening to an interview with her that's at the end of the audiobook, and she outs that she was actually a member of the Wolf's Head, which is at Yale when she was a student at Yale. And immediately I got more interested in it because as she's talking about it, it is like the line between fantasy, like in my head, and reality is very thin. It is a state of sort of ridiculousness that doesn't take very much to get me over the edge. And thrilled even more to hear that 2 days after the book was released last October, Amazon picked it up, and so it's going to be a series that is coming out. Pandemic, so it's coming out probably late 2021. But I'm very excited about it. It seems like a really fascinating property, and it is not a YA property. This was her big transition from YA into adult horror. paranormal horror gruesomeness. So it looks good.
Interesting.
Have you read any Leigh Bardugo books, either of you? Shadow and Bone, ring any bells? No? Nothing? All right.
No.
Good for nothing.
I'm looking for interesting properties to watch, like with my daughter, though. So, trying to find some stuff. I keep trying to convince her that we should watch His Dark Materials, but she keeps seeming to push me away from it. It doesn't seem interested.
That's my. If we weren't recording right now, we would be watching. My daughter and I get up at 6 a.m. and watch an episode on Saturday mornings and watch an episode or two of His Dark Materials. So it's great.
Nice. Well, maybe I can use that to convince her.
You should.
She's very stuck right now.
No.
Like she picks a show and then she's just like doesn't want to leave that world. Like right now she discovered the 100 and she's just plowing through that show.
Yeah.
So,
I'm doing Clone Wars because of you. I'm back in Clone Wars.
It's great.
Yeah. And I love it so much.
Yeah.
And I'm in season 6 now and they're doing the gooey chip in the brain. Oh my goodness. And my wife walks through. She says, "This is not a kid's cartoon, is it?"
it really shifts over those 7 seasons.
So
it really
does. Yeah, absolutely. So,
have you met the Bad Batch yet? I can't remember when they came in.
I
can't remember if they're season 6 or
I think it's the season premiere of season 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is great because now we get a whole show about the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
It'll be fun to see.
All right. Good talk.
Cool. Have either of you seen this thing that Pedro Almodovar is doing or with his short film, The Human Voice?
No.
The trailer for that came out, which again, it's just a short film. So it's, the trailer's short too. It's a minute and a half instead of 2.5 minutes. But it's interesting because it's his first project in English. And I remember seeing on-set photos of this because they were filming this during COVID. They all were wearing their masks and everything to keep safe.
Well, that's what I was wondering from the trailer, because as I was looking for my trailer for this week, I came across this one. And is it just, knowing that it's a short, I mean, is it just Tilda Swinton? Because I could see, shooting with like minimal crew and just a single cast member and a dog, apparently, being able to pull something off like that, because I don't see anybody else. So I don't know if there is. I didn't dig into, IMDb to see if there is other cast members, but it seems like the perfect thing to do during COVID is grab a really talented actor and shoot a short film.
It sounds like it is. I mean, when you look at Wikipedia, the cast list is only Tilda Swinton. And the story is a woman watches time passing next to the suitcases of her ex-lover, who is supposed to come pick them up but never arrives, and a restless dog who doesn't understand that his master has abandoned him. 2 living beings facing abandonment.
Shot in real time.
After 30 minutes, she's like,
I'm done.
I'm leaving.
I'm done waiting. Just throws this luggage out the door.
She's got to go watch Shadow in the Clouds.
It really makes me curious, though, that filmmakers like Almodovar make short films like this, because what is the, what's the end game for it? I mean, are they hoping to make money for this, or is it just kind of a project to do on the side and then it gets released as like a bonus on some Criterion thing, or like where, I mean, short films are great. I love short films, but oftentimes they seem like, kind of an example of what you can do as a filmmaker so that you can get bigger projects.
Well, you have, I think it's easier for a streaming service to pick something up like this, because nobody's going to go pay, ticket price to go watch a short film.
Yeah, right.
It's just, there's that. There was a documentary that somebody recommended about Rubik's Cubers.
Yep.
And it's only like 40 something minutes long. And I thought, I'm so glad it was on Netflix because it was amazing. I don't know where else I would have, gone to see this, but seeing something like that on Netflix. So a short film that's, to me, that's something where Netflix, Amazon, you could pick something up like that and you promote it. It's got recognizable faces, recognizable names that could draw an audience to it. And I think that makes it more appealing as a revenue. Netflix wants to pull in some people, or they have something that's unique. This is one of those opportunities because, I don't think people are going to go out and like buy this digitally, or, you know, if it gets bundled in with something, it's going to get lost.
Right,
you know,
right.
You're counting on them people to get, you know, oh, yeah, Criterion's going to bundle it in with a collection of his films. Well, you know, those are people that would have sought that out anyway to get to a wider audience. To me, seems like that's what streaming services can do with something unique like this.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. I know Disney does that with all of their shorts now. In fact, with Soul, with the release of Soul, I remember seeing that, you know, because often they were releasing a new Pixar short at the start of each of their movies, and I saw that the short had been released separately on Disney Plus and totally forgot to watch it. I still haven't, so I need to check that.
Which one is it?
It was something about a rabbit or something, but I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we watched that because it was, what was interesting is it wasn't, it looked more like the style looked more hand-drawn, like 2D animation. Yeah, no, it's by the rabbit digging
his hole or something. Yeah, right. Yeah, so so I need to check that out. But it's nice that they're actually just promoting stuff like that as other content. It doesn't even have to specify.
Right.
And so I think that's actually a very good point, that this does make for good content to easily just lump in on another streaming service somewhere. The new Pedro Almodovar film, you know.
Is that it? You want to talk about your stats?
No. So I wanted to talk about the next Reels 2020 stats.
Do go.
Okay.
I know. And now that that accursed year is over, I thought, you know, it'd be fun to kind of look back and see what we've discussed over the course of the year. You know, having basically talked about a movie every single week except for the 2 weeks in the middle of July. Plus the film boards and trailer rewinds and everything else that have been released. But this is just specific to the next Reel show. The top ranked movie, according to us, as we did on Flickchart, which of course could change here in a minute when we do some re-rankings. But the number one film that we ranked in 2020, let's see, the series, I don't know if I can remember all the series. I know there were 12 of them. Actually, here, I have it right here. We did Colin Higgins. We did a couple guilty pleasures. We did French crime films, Spike Lee, Jean Le Carré, Agnieszka Holland, Francis Weber and his remakes, Cary Grant, the Friday franchise, foreign language Best Picture nominees, Aquatic Killers, and the Underworld franchise. Can you guess?
Snow Celine was number one. Snow Celine,
number
Blood Wars.
one. I'll tell you right now, the Friday franchise and the Underworld franchise did not end up in the top 20. Every other series has at least one film that makes it in the top 20.
Wow.
Based on that, do you have any idea, like, what would be in our top 10? Can you pick any film or any particular film that would definitely be in the top 10? Do you want me to just read them off, or do you want to guess?
I don't remember them.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Okay, number one, Charade. Charade shot way up.
Wow.
I think it's number 2 on our chart now. Number 2, Parasite.
Ugh.
Number 3, North by Northwest. Yeah. Number 4, Black Klansman. Number 5, Harold and Maude. Number 6, 9 to 5. Number 7, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. Number 8, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Number 9, Roma. Number 10, Le Trou.
Oh,
wow. All great.
If we continue... All great,
Wow.
right? If we continue 11 through 20, it's Do the Right Thing, Crawl, Europa, Rififi, Les Samurai, Hudson Hawk, The Dinner Game, Grand Illusion, Bamboozled, Arsenic, and Old Lace.
Okay.
So, yeah, a lot of good stuff we ended up talking about over the course of the year.
And we added some to earlier series, right?
We did.
Like
we added the original
Equilibrium.
science fiction. Equilibrium added onto our original science fiction series for a member bonus, and Gone Girl added onto our David Fincher series as a member bonus. And what am I? I'm forgetting. There was another one that we added onto a member bonus. What was our other member bonus?
I don't know. Did we only have the 2 this year?
I can't remember.
Well,
Ivanhoe just came out, but that was 2021.
that's right. That's technically 2021.
So of the stars that we talked about over the course of the year, 1 star ended up in 5 films that we talked about. Can you guess who that would be?
Is it going to be Snow Celine?
It is. It's Kate Beckinsale.
Oh,
Even though she's technically not in that third movie.
I know she does jump off the thing again.
Right behind her, we have two people in 4 films. Ice Cube was in 4 films, the 3 Friday films, and Anaconda.
And the other's got to be what's his name? Funky accent boy with Underworld. Yeah,
Would that be Bill Nye?
Yeah, Bill Nye.
Bill Nye, right. He was in 4 of those. And then we have Charles Dance we have a lot of people in 3 films. Charles Dance, John Witherspoon, Michael Sheen, Mike Epps, Cary Grant, Shane Brawley, Richard Citrone, Brian Still. Those are all in 3 films. So, yeah, I mean, an interesting swath of actors to pop up in our movies. And yeah, what else is interesting? I think that might be it. But we had a good spread of actually... because of the foreign language Best Picture nominees, we actually had a good spread of movies around the globe too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Your
What's your take on your favorite series of 2020? Anything that stands out to you as something? Oh, that was perfect, or that was horribly, irredeemably bad.
Well, I think we should ask Steve first. I don't know if he's managed to make it through all of them, but were there any series that we did over the course of the year that really stuck out for you as one that you're like, oh, I really want to catch up on that one?
Oh, no, it was, I really got into your, the French crime films.
Yeah.
That I really, those were films that I had not seen, and I really enjoyed them. That was something that, I spent some of 2020 trying to fill in, sort of empty spots in past decades. What are some of my blind spots? And this was one that I really, really enjoyed watching those. The Francis Weber, it's interesting because that's challenging. I mean, it was interesting to see the comparison between the two of when you translate something, not only the language, but just sort of the culture and the norms of a culture that shift, and how sometimes a story gets reconstructed for a different audience in a different culture was interesting to see, I think, in that series.
What about you, Pete?
Well, I think I'm with Steve. I love the French crime films. I've been super excited to go back and just digest every Jean le Carré thing that I can find. Of course, the curse of somebody passing like him just kind of rekindles that inspiration. And now
the Russia
I know
House.
What?
The Russia House.
That
Russia
was
House.
it.
You're
right.
That was
member bonus.
You're right. Anyway, it's one of those that that now I'm inspired, and I know that I can catch up because he'll stop writing. Agnieszka Holland was another one that I was super interested in, and I think we came up with some just fascinating visual examples. And I want more Spike Lee. I think we've got some great Spike Lee films on the list, and so I'd love to go back to that well. And there's always room for more guilty pleasures, Andy, as you know.
I thought you'd be thrilled that Hudson Hawk ended up in the top 20.
I am. It's just blown away.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love the French crimes film series, and I really hope we return to that because I thought that was a lot of fun. Spike Lee also. And Francis Weber actually was a great kind of rediscovery for me, and it actually makes me want to go back. I started going back and watching some of his other stuff. Like I watched the original The Toy that he did, and now I need to find the Richard Pryor one, but I really enjoyed it. So I'm curious to kind of look at some of these other ones that he's done. I think for me, though, the one that I found most interesting, and perhaps I just took it to such an extreme level, but it was the foreign pictures nominated for Best Picture, because I watched all the other films they were nominated against, the other foreign films, the other Best Pictures, just to really kind of get a sense of things. And it gave me a really interesting perspective of kind of, what the Oscars and the voters were saying were kind of the best in those categories for any particular year. So I just found that to be a really interesting kind of experience to dig that deep into that particular series.
What was your personal top-rated film of 2020?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Steve, do you have memory?
You're specifically talking 2020 films, like movies that actually came out in 2020?
No, I guess we could say new to you. As it happens, mine was actually released in 2020.
I'd have to go.
I just happened to click on my own, and it comes back. You know, you look at it and you think, okay, did I really mean that when I said it? And for me, absolutely, Palm Springs was such an amazing film for me. It hit me right in just all the right places. So I really loved it. But I'm also one of those who's notoriously tardy on getting my goodies into Letterboxd. I also don't do this thing where I am dutiful about watching movies again and marking them again, logging them again in Letterboxd. I need to be better about that because in the milestones it says that the first film that I watched, this Rendezvous, 1976 Rendezvous. I watched it on January 3rd, and the last film that I watched, which is not true, listed right now as Wonder Woman 84, and the most watched was Do the Right Thing, which apparently I watched twice in 2020, but I don't think that's true. I think there are other movies that I've actually watched a number of times, and I need to be better about that.
Yeah, it's kind of tricky to gauge that if you're not being as up on all that. But I mean, I think over the course of the year I watched 460 films, and that includes some shorts and stuff. So, but it was a lot of good watching.
460 films.
Yeah, it was a busy year.
400.
It was a 2020 COVID quarantine kind of year.
It really was. It really, really was.
Steve, how's your Letterboxd? Is it in fair shape?
It's spotty. Yeah. It's getting better. Yeah, I'm the same with you. I log things that I'm watching for the first time, but going back, something that I've rewatched. Sometimes I don't always think about getting in there, but I had some good discoveries this year, and and it was going back to films that are just new to me, stuff that I had not seen in a long time. You know, things that you guys had talked about on the show years ago, like Night of the Hunter, which was just amazing. Getting around to those. So it was it's spotty because I do have those like late Saturday night like crummy like B sci-fi movie things that I like to dig into that are threaded all throughout. But the Criterion, I've got a lot of stuff that I wove throughout the year on that, a lot of discoveries. But I think some of the surprises for me, A Separation was a movie that just like devastated me. It was one that I just heard about, and it was like, okay. And for some reason, I don't know, maybe just 2020 is the year that I felt more comfortable like getting into like personal trauma or something with characters. Because normally that's not something that would appeal to me. I'm like, oh, it's just this, family drama, whatever. But I don't know, I just was more open to those types of movies this year when done really, really well. And so that things like that I would normally just keep kicking the can, like I'll get to it one day. I was more open to watching those things and really rewarded by those. And, speaking of like devastating films, I was finally able to complete just near the end of the year. I'd always wanted, since 2016, I'd been wanting to do this double feature of, the two stories about the Florida news reporter that committed suicide on air. There's Christine, and then Kate plays Christine, which is the story of an actress preparing to play her. And it is a really nice double feature, two different perspectives on it. One is a narrative of trying to tell this woman's story, and second of just really looking at what is our cultural fascination with this story, and what does an actor have to do to put themselves in that mental space? So something where I was sort of like checked off my list of something I'd wanted to do. It was a brutal 2 days, I had to take them one day at a time. But it was one of those things like, yes, got that off my list. One of those accomplishments that, wanted to get around to, and 2020 felt like the right year to take on some of those things.
My most watched director of 2020 was Ari Aster, because I now remember that the first couple of weeks
Yeah.
in 2020, I went and I watched and ranked all of the shorts after I watched Hereditary and whatever that I liked so much. And talk about a spread. There is a person who creates things that go from quite literally 0 stars to 5 stars and a heart. Like it is all over the place with how Aster's stuff hits me. But there are a couple of 5-star heart shorts in that catalog that are really, really terrific, and some that are so bad.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, speaking of ranking, should we do trailers? Do you want to do trailers?
We should do some trailers first.
Trailers.
Yeah. Let's do the trailers.
Yeah, we're only like an hour into the show. It's probably should get around.
It's a new year.
It's a new year.
It is.
All right.
Exactly. Steve, you're up first.
Oh, I'm up. We don't have any A24. We have no red band. We haven't had any of those rules in quite a long time. So I'm going, and it's, with trailers, it's always interesting to see when things show up. And this is a film that I guess prior to 2020 would be something that I would expect to be a big theatrical release, because you've got 3 Academy Award winners in here. You've got Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto in a film from John Lee Hancock called The Little Things, which is sort of a police psychological thriller. It doesn't reveal too much in the trailer, which I appreciate, but it does seem to hint at there may be some twists, some bends to this story. That's what really intrigued me in this. As a filmmaker, John Lee Hancock has done some really, he's written some films that I've really enjoyed, directed some films that I really enjoyed. So and looking at this cast, I thought there's got to be something in the story that really drew these people to it. But we've got Denzel as a, police officer who's investigating, a serial killer, it looks like. But there's something, as with Denzel, it's, a character with something tragic in his past. There's something in his past that he's dealing with that's preventing him from, being promoted within the force. He's been working there for decades and is stuck in this position because he's not a team player, I guess. And then we've got, Jared Leto as the suspect, possibly, and Rami Malek as one of the other detectives on this crime scene. So I'm hoping to have a really compelling thriller and enjoying the performances and what all three of these actors bring to it. But this is a genre that I often struggle with. It's well-trod turf. So what can we do to make it new? And in making it new, sometimes we have to do the character you thought was the good guy was really the bad guy, and is it going to fall into that trope, or is it going to play it straight? That's sort of my interest in this, is to see how it either plays it straight in the genre, or if it's seeking to do anything different with the genre. And so that's The Little Things, coming to HBO Max on January 29th.
It really felt like they were going down the road of this cop, this detective is really the one who's behind it all. Like it felt like they were like driving that, that twist forward to the forefront of the trailer very much. And so I hope that it still is a surprising story. And I hope that's basically not it, and that they pretty much spelled it out in the trailer, because it looks like it could be interesting. I think it's compelling. It's characters that I think they're interesting to me in these kinds of, crime dramas. I like these stories a lot. Like if it fits in the sort of Hannibal, Zodiac, Seven kind of universe, then I'm probably going to be okay with it. It looks really good. What I'm most interested in is Denzel, like what he does. So he's committed to bringing August Wilson's what is it, the Pittsburgh Cycle? All of those movies, or all of those plays to screen, right? He did Fences and just did what's the one with Chadwick Boseman? Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Yeah, right. and so that's one. And so he's decided that that's the work of his life, is just to bring all of these plays to screen as a producer. And
So then what he does for his day job is movies like this. I think that is an interesting story to be told about a guy who clearly contains multitudes. That is, I think it's beautiful. And so I'm a Denzel fan. So of course I'll see it. And Rami Malek with normal teeth is going to be great. And
normal for Rami.
I'm looking forward to it.
It may end up being a film board episode. We shall see.
Yeah.
I'm very curious about this one. So.
Yeah, one of the key pieces of information that I don't see on IMDb right now is the runtime, because this looks like with these characters, this is something I want to spend some time with. If this comes in at like an hour 45 or something like that, I'm going to be really disappointed, because this feels like you need 2 hours or slightly over 2 hours. Yeah, something like that to just really get into it, because I feel like that's what a story like this merits. Because if we cut it under 2 hours, it's going to feel like we've seen this, it's been done before, it's going to be just really cliche. So that's the one thing I'm hoping for, is spending a good chunk of time with these characters.
I didn't know this is interesting to me. I was just looking on the Wikipedia page. John Lee Hancock wrote this script in the 90s, and he wrote it for Steven Spielberg in 93 for Spielberg to direct. Spielberg ended up passing because it was too dark. Then Clint Eastwood and Danny DeVito.
Nobody.
Yeah. Well, he did Schindler's List the same year, so
that's true.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But then Clint Eastwood, Danny DeVito were attached, and then finally Hancock decided to direct it himself. And so, but that's like from 93 to now. That's like a heck of a long time for the script to be floating around. I hope that that doesn't bode poorly for it. I guess I still want it to be good.
Well,
it does intrigue me.
There are a number of those stories floating around. Like the Queen's Gambit is one of those stories that apparently was written in option 30 years ago, and they've just been trying and trying and trying to get it made, like nonstop trying to get it made, and it's great.
But do you think that's because it was released as a miniseries instead of just a movie?
Don't know.
Yes.
Would it have worked as just a 2-hour movie?
No, I think it's too much. It's a lot
challenging.
Story. Yeah. It's a lot of story, and it's super rewarding as a 7-parter. But I think
so that makes me wonder if the little things would be like, I without having seen it. Like, I guess we need to wait.
I find we're in perilous territory, because when I see stories, to Steve's point, like when I see stories like The Little Things, and I have that exact same feeling, God, I could spend some time with these characters. Now that I know there's an option to give me like a 7-parter, I kind of want that. I prefer it. I love it. I love that.
I would love to see this could be True Detective season 4 or whatever they're on, and do it well. But but I've also seen somewhere I feel like, okay, you're stretching this out to 7 episodes, and I feel like you're padding this out a little bit with some of these things, and we could tighten it up. So it's finding that sweet spot of not shortchanging us on the world and the characters, but then not bloating it up so much where you're just like got to fill 10 episodes.
Speaking of movies I'd like to see in 10 parts.
Oh, that's my trailer. That's right. Who wouldn't? We did an Eddie Murphy series a couple years ago, and one of the films we talked about was Coming to America. And so for my trailer pick, I felt I had to go with, and you have to say it this way, Coming to America, since it's basically the same title. It's just, now it's the number 2 right there, because this is in fact the sequel directed by Craig Brewer. And of course, it is the story of Prince Akeem coming back to America because he finds out that he has a son. And so he and Arsenio Hall, playing Semi, his best friend and aide, come back to track down his son, who see if he can find him. And it's a sequel. It looks like a sequel. It looks like everyone's doing their part again. The trailer really emphasizes that everybody is returning. You have Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, of course, both of them back, and both playing a lot of characters, just like they did in the first one, which is, I liked that in the first film. I thought that was one of the elements that I enjoyed quite a bit. And you have James Earl Jones back as his father, who is dying and needs to know that there is an heir after Akeem. And then just a ton of other people. Oh, and then I didn't mention that Sherry Headley is back, of course, as Lisa, his wife. But Jermaine Fowler is in it as his son. Leslie Jones is in it. Tracy Morgan, Kiki Lane. Wesley Snipes pops up as General Izzy. It looks like it's a sequel. I don't know if it's something I'm going to enjoy, but I'm very curious about it. I'm curious what they're going to do with this. Louis Anderson and Morgan Freeman are also in it. So there you go.
I look at this thing and I'm thinking, I'm just so glad they can have a good time together. Because Coming to America did not age well for me or for us. It was a 1.5 star film.
Yeah, it was a rough
our watch. And this trailer, it's full of a lot of these just faces saying, wah, he, ha, yeah, what? Funny accent. Dance sequence. Like, it is not a rich tapestry of
I will say the bit with like the guy who's in the barber chair and is just like flies on the baby's face, and it was like, oh, we went too far.
So there are some lines. I hope. Yeah, I actually hope that the film can be redemptive of the first one. I know there are a lot of huge fans of Coming to America. But my hopes are not high for Coming to America.
But Pete, this could end up being a member bonus episode,
and it should
just
be.
Putting it out
I'm
there.
Just saying,
it should be.
If anything should be, that's what member bonus episodes are for.
What were you saying, Steve?
Andy, do we know when this story takes place? Because this is the thing that baffled me, because Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall haven't aged a lot. I mean, this could be set like 5 years after, because if it's set, because the original one was 1988. Yeah. So if this is 22 years later, those guys in the barbershop must be like 100 years old. That's one thing that I was trying to figure out, because we see a lot of these returning characters and I just don't have a strong sense of when. And I assume it's got to be just shortly after the first one, because he has a son who is he a young man. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, Jermaine Fowler is playing his son. Is that who it is? Okay, so because it's just I guess I can't hold this film to reality. I guess that's
you should. That would be a mistake.
Let go of. Okay.
That would say you're also holding the first film to reality.
Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. Okay. Hey, in 2021, with the media landscape the way it is, do we get a Coming to America cinematic universe? Because I could see any of these things spinning off into separate little standalone side
The King's Gambit is actually...
Yes.
Yeah. It's going to be great. 7 parts.
Oh, my gosh.
Just that.
Well, because of COVID, Amazon did end up buying the distribution rights, and it goes live on Prime Video March 5th. So we'll be able to chat about it after that.
All right.
All right, Pete.
So
my
trailer is The White Tiger, and this was a movie that had not been on my list of things to see at all. I wasn't even thinking about it, and then Andy posted his potential list of movies for the film board coming up. So this is another one that could potentially end up being on our film board list. And I watched the trailer, and now I am firmly in support of this movie being a film board film that we talk about. It is the story of a poor Indian driver who, uses his wit and charm to work his way up to become kind of a mobster, I guess, mob lord, rich and famous in India, and I think he, in particular, looks amazing. This is Raj Kumar Rao playing Ashok, who is just he looks great on screen. He has that sort of young man's charm, but also mania that I think will serve him well in his rise to the top. It looks pleasantly, satisfyingly violent, and lots of wonderful little twists. Priyanka Chopra is in it as the wife or fiance of Ashok's rich family that he serves. And this is, I just was really captured by this trailer. I think it looks really, really great from director Ramin Barani. What do you guys think?
Have you seen any of Ramin Barani's other films? I know, like, early in his career, he did Man Push Cart and Chop Shop, both of which were just like really hailed as fantastic films by a lot of critics, a lot of awards and all that. And then I feel like he fell off the map. And I remember he did 99 Homes. I think that was a trailer pick, which
I liked a lot. 99 Homes.
Andrew Garfield and Michael Shannon. And I never ended up seeing that. And then he did that Fahrenheit 451,
which was also great with Michael B. Jordan.
Shannon.
So great.
Or Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon. Yeah. Right. So he's a director. I don't think I've seen a single film of his, but he's one who's always been on my radar because everybody is always giving him such high praise.
Well, and not everybody. I mean, the Fahrenheit 451, I think I was an outlier. It's a 4.9 on the IMDb scale, the 6-star scale.
Oh, okay.
It did not do well, but I think there were some other, it's a tough property to do.
Sure. Yeah.
So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
But I've always been curious about him, especially because of those early 2 films that he did. And so I'm really curious. I mean, I saw the trailer and I'm like, this looks really exciting. And it has an energy, and the way that Rajkumar Rao is playing this character, just I love seeing his rise and potential fall. I like, just over the course of the trailer, I thought that was really interesting. So I'm very excited. It's really intriguing to me.
Yeah, the trailer at first I was like, oh, okay, this story looks interesting. And then when it gets to that point where they set him up to take the fall for the auto accident, and that pivot, that twist, I thought, okay, this is becoming an interesting story of the guy who's like, I'm an ambitious worker. I'm going to put myself in a position of working for these wealthy people, and then when they take advantage and he retaliates, I thought this takes a darker twist to it, and I'm very curious to see the arc of this character and his rise to power of his like little corporate empire that it seems like he has later in the film. It looks like he's narrating from that point of view later on, sort of he's telling his story of his rise to power. So yeah, I'll be very interested to see this one. Yes, not on my radar, but very excited about it.
Cool. When's it coming out on Netflix, Pete?
Oh, well, Andy, that's a great question. You're so smart.
If I told you it was January 22nd, would that help?
It would. It's January 22nd, Andy. January 22nd. Confirmed from my other tab. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, good. Those are our trailers. Should we rank some movies?
It's been so long.
Do some re-ranking?
Come on.
I know.
Under the cherry moon. Under the cherry moon. Under the cherry moon. Under the cherry moon.
First up, sometimes you're like, well, okay, I remember we talked about that movie. There was, in our great Zhang Yimou series, we did end it with The Great Wall. And we have that versus Defending Your Life. Some Albert Brooks.
Wait a minute. We talked about The Great Wall on our show? I thought that was a film board.
No, that was the end of our Zhang Yimou series.
Wow.
Yeah. Matt Damon and all the fancy wall dancing.
Yeah.
Fighting the monsters.
Willem Dafoe? Okay. I think Defending Your Life.
I'll say Defending Your Life as well. Yeah. I don't think I hate The Great Wall, but although Defending Your Life just jumped 407 to 304. So obviously we had ranked those differently. Next up, Chronicle or Near Dark? Catherine Bigelow's vampire movie.
I would say Chronicle, but I could be swayed. Not one I'm willing to fight Chronicle. About. Okay.
Near Dark, I maybe if on a rewatch, I'll really appreciate that. It didn't work for me that well. Right. Steve, have you seen Near Dark?
I saw that like way back when it first hit video, and it has a favorite spot in our family of a really different take on the whole vampire thing. And yes, it is a flawed film. There are issues, but there's something that the ambition and what it's trying to do, and I really enjoy that.
Oh, okay. But have you seen Chronicle?
Oh yeah, no, this is a tough chat. This is a tough one to pick between the two, because Chronicle is. That's the whole, whatever, like found footage type of, superhero
found footage, teen story,
thing.
Superhero. Come on, it's like Steve's. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that one's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not an easy pick for me on either of these because there's, yeah, but I could go either way. And so Chronicle, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Beating out Near Dark, yeah.
Next up, weirdly, we have a Ricardo Darín double whammy here. We have The Secret in Their Eyes or Son of the Bride. Two really fantastic films.
They're really fantastic films, but I would be Secret in Their Eyes pretty easily.
Yeah, me too. Have you seen that, Steve?
I have not seen any of his films.
You definitely need to put Secret in Their Eyes on your watch list.
Was that the one that they did an American remake that was horrible?
It was so bad.
Okay.
It was so bad.
Okay.
Yeah, watch Ricardo Darín's film.
Okay.
Next up, Chinese Puzzle or Beverly Hills Cop. Speaking of Eddie Murphy.
Oh, man. I think Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, that's an easy one. I found diminishing returns in the in Cedric Klapich's trilogy. So Beverly Hills Cop for me. Steve, I'm assuming you haven't seen any of Cedric Klapich's Spanish Apartment trilogy.
No, I have not.
The first one I think is really good.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Taxi Driver, Pete's favorite movie, or Misery.
Misery.
What Pete says when he watches Taxi Driver.
Oh,
nailed it in one. Oh, Andy, you know me so well.
Wow.
That was great.
Wow.
I will also say Misery, but I think it's just because I love that movie so much. Even though I love Taxi Driver too. But Steve,
I just don't know that Misery holds up on. It's the thing with some of Rob Reiner's films. Like, yeah, it's at that time it was a really solid film. I don't know that it's something I'm going to watch. Whereas there's something more enduring, and yeah, it's dark and miserable in Taxi Driver, but there's something classic about that one.
but he didn't jump out of the cocky duty car. Well, Misery held steady in spot 90 on our chart. Next up, The Omega Man or Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. What if the Star Trek team went back in time and they landed in Charlton Heston's futuristic The Omega Man world?
Yes. Right there.
That would be an interesting story.
Oh, my goodness. I guess somebody's writing some Captain Kirk, Charlton Heston fan fiction right now on that idea. They're shipping the two of them, I guarantee it.
So good.
I'm Star Trek.
You say that with such disappointment, weirdly.
I know. It's not disappointment. I'll tell you what's in the back of my head is that every time we say anything against the Omega Man, we get somebody writes and is really irate, like really mad.
That's true. That is true. That is a well-loved film.
Not by us.
It really has its issues. Steve, have you seen that one?
I have not seen that one. That's one that, again, is that the one that's, what was it? It's based on the short story.
Yeah.
With the Will Smith thing and all that.
I Am Legend.
Because I've seen the Will Smith. I've read the story. I just have not. Yeah. Charlton Heston. Yeah. So all the fans can hate on me for not having seen it. I'm putting it on my list of things to watch.
Put it kind of low.
I'll take the heat. Pete, I'm trying to be a decoy here, and you just keep saying, no, over here.
Yeah.
Trolls, I'm over here.
I know. He really does. It's terrible. Well, Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home held steady in spot 284. Next up, we have Hitchcock's Notorious from our Ingrid Bergman series and About Time from our time travel series.
You said Notorious, and I was like, Notorious. And then you said About Time, Andy.
Yeah, but it's still Notorious, Pete. About Time is cute, but it's Notorious.
It is.
I mean, it's Notorious, but it hurts.
Yes. No, it doesn't hurt.
Well, Notorious held steady in spot 38.
Yeah.
That would have been quite a jump, I'm sure.
It's a fantastic film. That's fine.
Next up, Thoroughly Modern Millie from our 60s musicals series, or The Bank Job from our Bank Heist series. Oh, Bank Job for me.
Yeah.
Have you seen either of those, Steve?
I have not.
Well, The Bank Job is a great heist film.
Oh, yes.
True story. Great.
Know.
Yeah, really interesting film.
Wait, which is this the one from 2008?
Yep, with Jason Statham.
I may have seen that because I was thinking it was like a 70s heist thing.
Well, it
I may
feels
have
like a
seen the
70s
Bank
heist film. That's one of the film's great successes is they really dig deep on the era.
It's weird.
If I saw it when it first came out, but I've forgotten it, and so that's one of the things with this. It's like it may be okay, but ultimately it was forgettable. Yeah, or it's a Jason Statham movie that I'm confusing with another Jason Statham movie. I don't know.
I don't know why,
Well,
but that one I ranked it 3.5 stars, which was what we gave it on the show, and I didn't give it a like, and I can't remember why because in my head I like it.
I don't know why either.
Yeah,
That's peculiar to me.
I'm gonna give it a like. I'm changing it up right now.
That's you go. Well, The Bank Job held steady in spot 279. Next up, The Long Kiss Goodnight, some Shane Black, or Howl's Moving Castle from Hayao Miyazaki.
Shane Black, who did make that last Predator movie, is about to lose to Howl's Moving Castle.
Really? He's a Long Kiss Goodnight for me. I love that movie.
I know you.
I haven't seen Howl's Moving Castle, but I know it's on my. I can watch it on my HBO Max.
It's a good one.
So it's one of my goals for 2021 is with my HBO Max getting into the
or of Miyazaki
studio. Yeah, the Miyazaki.
This is one where Andy's rating of it skewed our shared rating. I gave it 2.5 stars. Long Kiss Goodnight. I did not like that movie as much as he did, for sure. I don't know.
It's so fun.
I guess
so much fun.
We have to rock, paper, scissors.
No,
we are.
You do, but I will say I'm Long Kiss Goodnight is another Sarmento family favorite of
super fun,
Gina Davis, and just so much fun with that. Yeah, I think there's some third act issues and all that, but it's just, for a long time after seeing that, we would just, take a cue from Samuel Jackson and just be like, taking my keys, putting them up on the shelf so I don't forget them, singing songs so you don't forget stuff.
That's right. That's right. All right, Pete. Well, let's do it. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3.
Scissors.
Rock.
Yeah.
Long Kiss Goodnight takes it.
There we go.
And held steady in spot 270.
All right. Well, that's okay.
Okay. There you go.
Next up, we have Drive or Transamerica. Very different films.
Oh, so different. It's Drive for me.
I really like both of them.
Yeah, me too.
I will say Drive also. Have you seen both of those, Steve?
I have not seen Transamerica.
Oh, it's really good. It's got a criminal in the lead role, but she's great.
Criminal and a cheat.
She was not a criminal at the time, but she is.
You know what, Steve? She wasn't a criminal yet. Just as far as we know, she hadn't been caught.
Okay, so Transamerica starring Felicity Huffman, who was not a criminal at the time.
It's a really hard one because both of them for me were 4-star with a heart movies in my rating.
Yeah,
so
they're great movies.
They're great movies, but
But Drive held steady in spot 40.
Yeah.
No change there.
Okay.
Next up, The Bank Job makes a return appearance, or The Russia House from our member bonus, filling in for a Jean Le Carré spot that we did in memoriam of Sean Connery at the time, and then sadly also of Le Carré very shortly afterward. I will still say The Bank Job, though.
That's another one. Rush House is also 3.5 stars and a heart for me. So those are the same. I will also say The Bank Job.
That went from 279 to 240. A little bit of a jump.
And that was the 10th rerun.
Okay,
if
not
you
bad.
Want to stop there.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, a little fun little round of re-ranking.
Sadly, Under the Cherry Moon did not come out.
Nor 2001.
2001.
All right, gents, let's get to these lists. We put some options out there. We're closing out our Underworld series as we just released the final episode covering that on December 31st, Underworld Blood Wars. And so the option picked was Missing Spouses. Steve, you get to kick us off.
Yeah, and this was a challenging list for me.
It was a challenging list, period, yeah.
Yeah, because then if I throw in the things you haven't talked about on the show, I'm like, well, that kills a bunch of options. So I'm doing the Sarmento rule, and I'm going to go with, I'm okay with stuff that you guys have talked about on the show. So I'm going to start with one that I don't think you guys have talked about on the show. And it's one that, so if I'm going 3, 2, 1, which I normally do. So I'm going to start my list off with one that I think I, checked out at Blockbuster because it was one of these things like, well, I recognize these people. This looks interesting. It's got some good, blurbs on it. And it being sort of a fun movie at the time, again, not an enduring classic by any means, but I think when you've got Kurt Russell trying to, find his kidnapped wife in Breakdown, that's, for me, a good place to start your missing spouse list. And I struggle with, well, he sort of knows where she is, but, she's not with him. So technically that counts as missing because she's not present with him. And I guess he doesn't know exactly where she is, but he sort of knows. It's not like, oh, I have no idea where she is. So that's why I put it at the bottom of my list also of missing spouses. That's Breakdown.
And a steal.
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, that's I really enjoy that movie. It's a really fun movie, and I thought it fit the bill pretty well, even though you were struggling with it. But I was like, no, she's pretty much missing, and he has to figure out what the heck happened to her. I really enjoy that movie.
Right.
So yeah.
Nice.
Good job stealing that one from me.
Nice job.
I'm going to go. I'm going to start off with one that is a story of a missing spouse. I have to go with this particular story, and what I thought was pretty interesting, and I was debating trying to figure out a way to make this work across the board with my list, but I was also struggling with finding the right films to do so with. But I'm going to go with Castaway, featuring, of course, Tom Hanks, because where would a list be without me throwing Tom Hanks' movie on there? Castaway is the story of the missing spouse, as he is stuck. His plane crashes, and he is stuck on an island for a long time until he finally makes it off. And so he is the missing spouse and has to make it back to his lovely wife at the end. And so that's my first pick, Castaway.
A good one. For me, I am going to pick one that has been picked before, but it has only been picked once, and it was picked this time last year. If you'll recall that if I am like Sting, I am tantric. If I am like Snickers, I'm guaranteed to satisfy. Then, like Harrison Ford, I'm getting frantic. I feel like there is a hidden series to be made from Harrison Ford losing his spouses.
That's
a double steal.
Nice.
Yeah.
I cannot believe, actually, I knew that was going to be a double steal. I can't believe you guys let me get that far. Since I was going third, I picked that movie and I thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to get to it.
Nice. Frantic. Yeah, that's an interesting Roman Polanski that I feel like I should rewatch at some point, because I remember thinking it was interesting, but I've never gone back to it. I saw it when it was in the theater, and I just have never returned to it.
Yes. That was what I saw it in the theater, and I remember that movie just, for me, captured that. There was something that Polanski did that captured that whole sense of like jet lag and being sort of like you're there, you're coherent, but things are sort of like hazy and off a little bit, and it seemed to capture that really well. And that's the one thing that I remember taking away from that film, is just capturing that sense of disorientation from jet lag really well, and then throwing that on the fact of you're in a foreign country trying to find your missing wife.
Yeah, right.
Really compelling. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Steve,
Okay.
Number 2 for you.
Number 2, all right, maybe I'm stretching the spouses thing on this one a little bit because they're not married, but to me, it's a very committed relationship at the core of the story, because when your girlfriend goes missing, you've got to be really committed to this person when you're willing to, basically find the person that abducted her and say, yeah, I'll go through exactly everything that you put her through so I can find out what happened and get to her in The Vanishing. The original Dutch version.
Better version.
Yes, the original much better version of that.
Nice.
So
that was a backup I had, because I was like, well, they're just boyfriend, girlfriend. So I'm like, if I have to go to that one, I will. And, at this point, I hope that there are no more steals, because I have no backups. So I guess we'll see where we end up with all of this. All right, for my number 2, I am going to this is a film that I need to re-watch. I remember finding it really interesting. Vangelis does the music, which I've always enjoyed the music of. It is and we talked about Costa Gavras earlier, or in 2020 when we talked about Z in our best or foreign language films nominated for Best Picture. This is his 1982 film Missing, which is a very interesting film about an American down in Chile who he's a journalist, and he gets taken by the coup, and his father and his wife are both down there searching for him, trying to find them. His father is played by Jack Lemmon. His wife is played by Sissy Spacek. And I say it as if it's his story, but it's really their story as they are trying to figure out what happened and uncover everything. And I found it to be a really fascinating, kind of horrifying film about how sometimes, these different governments that are run this way can disappear people so well. And pretty frightening story. I found to be interesting, and definitely another one worth revisiting. It's the 1982 film Missing. Yeah,
that's a good pick. That's a solid pick.
Yeah, it's been a while for me, but I remember being affected by it.
For me, I'm going to go back even further to 1946.
It's a good year.
I actually don't know.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen this movie that I don't actually know if they were married. I know there was a spouse involved, and the spouse is gone. It is a 1946 film, Howard Hawks' The Big Sleep. And it's another one of those where it's the process is more entertaining than the resolution. But in the end, there is a spouse that runs off with another guy, and there's cheating involved, and they're missing, and that's why we have to call Philip Marlowe, played by the great Bogart, and to come in and save the day. So Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Martha Vickers, Dorothy Malone. The Big Sleep.
Nice. The plot is so convoluted in that one that I think it's okay if we're not sure if it's a spouse or not, because maybe we wouldn't have been anyway, even if we just watched it yesterday.
It is just so satisfying to watch, sometimes to watch them wash over you, Yeah.
All right, Steve. Last pick.
I'm going with one that you guys recently talked about on the show. So I don't know if this one's going to be a steal unless somebody's, using the rule. But after Frantic, the first thing that came to my mind is David Fincher's Gone Girl when it comes to missing spouses. Again, she's made herself missing. So I guess that, missing, what does missing mean? Because she's not really lost, but
according to her husband, she is. And I think that's completely fair.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So one that, one of the, just one where I read the book, watched the film and enjoyed both of them completely for what they do. So that's my final pick.
Nice. That's a good one. I did not go there, but could have. But it is a really interesting one to add on to the list. For my final pick, I've used this twice. as
Andrew.
It's tough. This list was hard. I thought it would be a lot easier to do.
Yeah.
But really, it isn't. I used this particular movie earlier in 2020 when on a cinematic floods list, and then again in 2018 on a list for environmental disasters. Back to Missing Spouses. This is The Impossible, the story of the flood in wherever it was, over in the Indian Ocean, when the tsunami hit, and they're on their Christmas holiday over in Thailand. And I just found that film to be incredibly affecting. Incredible performances. I really just liked everything about it. Really strong. And the husband and wife get separated, and they're both trying to find each other. They each end up with one of their children, and are trying to kind of find the rest. And so it's kind of two missing spouses. They're each missing, and we're following both of their stories. So That's my final pick, The Impossible.
That's a good pick. That was high on my backup list. I'm so glad you guys didn't land on my third because I had no steals and I didn't have to go into any sort of backup territory. The film I'm going to pick is one that it's interesting. It used to be when I'd get new sound equipment, I would always go to something like The Fifth Element and to test speakers. Yeah. And I realized that after 2018, I have a new movie that I go to test out sound stuff. It is a movie where the spouse technically isn't missing, but has been for 3 years. And so we have to, figure out what to do. Where did he come from? Why can't he remember what was going on and what's going on in that lighthouse? And we should send a crack team to go figure that out because he's sick and in the ICU now. And so we got to go to the lighthouse and whatever's in there, it faces annihilation.
For some reason, I thought Steve would have that on his list.
I did too.
I love that movie, but I guess I didn't think of it as a missing spouse movie because, he was missing, and that's because what comes back is maybe not necessarily him.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It really surprises me that one, it wasn't on Steve's list, and two, it has never been picked. For us on this show. The last time it was mentioned, JJ and I talked about the release of Annihilation when it came out.
Wow, really?
And we've never picked it, so
it fits well.
There we go.
We are kicking off for 2021. We're starting with a Russian, or I should say Soviet, science fiction series that definitely starts off with an interesting one. It's called Dead Mountaineers Hotel from 1979, directed by Grigory Kromanov. And what should we talk about or what should we put out as our list options? Obviously, mountain hotels.
It's got to be mountain hotels or movies inspired by The Shining.
Inspired by, even though it predates.
It predates, right? I guess that's true.
I love mountain hotels. There's a murder mystery in there that our detective is trying to figure out. There's an avalanche, several avalanches.
Great avalanche movies.
Aliens that are hidden, disguised as people.
That's a Body Snatchers theme.
It's kind of, but it's not really.
Because those bodies were created in Dead Mountaineers Hotel, right? I mean, were they taken over?
And they have like androids also that look like people.
Yeah. Okay, we could robot or alien people though. We could do robots too.
Other beings. How about other beings disguised as people?
I like that.
Would that work?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
and great ski movies.
Because
this one isn't.
There's no skiing, but we do have the. What were they doing? They were flying in a hang glider.
They're paraskiing.
With skis on, and then it's like they would drop on the mountain. I was curious about what was going to happen. I think that it counts because the way the aliens interact with and like navigate snow, they just sort of glide across it, and I think that's sort of skiing. I thought they were skiing. Were they not on skis? I don't know. I feel like they were in a glorified snow Segway. They were skiing up. Up the mountain,
but I didn't see them with skis on. I thought they were just kind of floating.
I couldn't tell because it's like the robots were holding the people, so I couldn't quite tell what was happening. Steve is like, confusing. What on earth are you talking about?
I'm just adding this to my list of crazy things to watch.
So what were they? Other beings disguised as people or as humans. Mountain hotels. We liked that one, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge, but mountain hotels.
Mountain hotels. Yeah, I like it.
I like it too. And what do we want to do? What do we decide on a third one? What are we doing with our number 3?
Well, there was
avalanches.
Movie avalanches.
I guess
I could get behind some movie avalanches.
Yeah, my question is, are there enough? But we can certainly put it on.
The journey is the destination, Andy.
That's what people are going to pick.
Of course,
so I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be forewarned.
I'm not here next week, so.
Nobody's on next week yet. I haven't built the schedule. I can almost guarantee it will be none of us.
Movie avalanches, other beings disguised as humans in mountain hotels.
All right. Beautiful.
There we go.
That's the list. All right, we're going to get that posted in our Show Talk channel over in Discord. If you want to vote in next week's list challenge, you just head over to the Show Talk channel and you can lend your voice to the chaos that is list picking and movie sabotage each week. How do you get to the Show Talk channel, you ask? All you have to do is go to thenextreel.com/membership and become a supporter of the Next Reel family of podcasts. For just $1 a month, you can become a one-reeler, and you can join our online community in our Discord server. For a few dollars more per month, you can become a two-reeler supporter, and you can join us in live streams of the shows as we record them. We have early access to our shows in your very own personal podcast feed, and then even some super secret member channels in Discord. And you get these member bonuses, all sorts of great stuff.
And don't forget, if you haven't seen it yet, we've talked a lot about Letterboxd. If you'd like to get in on that particular game, the kind folks at Letterboxd are offering generous discounts to those of you who want to sign up or even renew. If you're an existing Letterboxd user and your renewal is coming up, you can get this deal too. Just head over to thenextreel.com/letterboxd and you can sign up, get a discount on either the patron or the pro or patron member. It's 20% off, and it's a really great way to catalog movies, catalog reviews, and see what other film fans are doing.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us and checking us out. We appreciate it, and thank you, gents. It was a pleasure talking with you this fine start of 2021.
Happy New Year, Andy.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye, everybody.
Hondo.